Welcome to Rolling Movie Recap. Today we'll enjoy an action, adventure, and sci-fi movie titled The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So make sure to bring your favorite food. Sit back and enjoy. In a flashback, Richard Parker records a video message in an attempt to explain himself of his experiments at Oscorp before his disappearance. Richard and his wife Mary leave their young son Peter with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Richard and his wife Mary then get on a private plane. Mary mentions that she has found somewhere safe for them to stay as Richard uploads project files from his laptop. He tries to reassure her, explaining that their life has been changed forever. Richard doesn't want to put Peter through that. Mary pops into the bathroom just as one of the flight crew steps out of the cockpit. Richard notes the man has gone to his sink and appears to be washing blood off his hands. He is very suspicious and wary of the guy's behavior. Suddenly, the crew guy pulls a gun and threatens Richard. He locks Mary in the bathroom and prepares to shoot Richard. As Richard uploads the file, Mary realizes something is wrong and bursts out. A struggle ensues, and Mary is shot. Richard desperately overcomes the thug. Mary reminds Richard to finish the upload just as the thug roars back to life. They scrap back and forth as the pilot is dead, and the plane falls into a steep dive. And as Richard realizes his fate is sealed, Mary is dead. There's no getting out of the situation. However, the file upload to Roosevelt has to be completed. Richard shoots out a window and holds onto the laptop with the strongest Cat5 cable in existence. The hitman flies out the window to his death, and Richard confirms that the file is transferred and the plane plummets to its doom. In the present day, Spider-Man is in pursuit of criminals, carrying a truck full of dangerous chemicals called plutonium through the city. While talking to Gwen Stacy on the phone, he sees a vision of her late father, Captain Stacy, and is reminded of the promise he made to stay away from Gwen.
So I want you to promise me something, okay? Leave Gwen out of it.
During the chase, he saves the life of a man named Max Dillon. Afterward, Peter meets Gwen at their high school graduation ceremony, where the two share a kiss. However, later in the evening, Peter tells Gwen about the visions he's been having and insists that he needs to keep his promise, in which Gwen breaks up with Peter. After years of being away from the city, Harry Osborn returns as the heir to Oscorp Industries and talks with his father, Norman, who is in very poor health. Norman explains to Harry that the illness is genetic and that Harry is at the age where it will begin to show. Before he dies, he gives Harry a small device which he claims contains his life's work. The next day, it is reported that Norman Osborn has passed away, making Harry Osborn CEO of Oscorp, where Felica Hardy becomes his new assistant. Upon hearing the news, Peter Parker visits Harry, and the two are reunited after 10 years. Max Dillon, now assuming that he and Spider-Man are best friends, attends work on his birthday as an electrician at Oscorp. Whilst tending to some dangerous maintenance, he loses his balance and falls into a tank of modified electric eels being used for experiments. As a result, he becomes a human mass of electricity. Meanwhile, Peter meets Gwen in an attempt to maintain a friendship, and Gwen tells Peter that a job opportunity means she has to move to England. Before the two can discuss it, Max accidentally shuts off the power to Times Square whilst looking for electricity to power himself. Max is seen all over Times Square, where he is actually seen. Spider-Man attempts to calm the situation down. Spider-Man then saves people from his destruction. As Electro is replaced by Spider-Man all over Times Square, which Electro then thinks Spider-Man is nothing but selfish. But after the police try to shoot him, Max thinks that Spider-Man has betrayed him and attacks. Spider-Man eventually stops him, and he is taken to Oscorp to be tested on. Harry begins to show symptoms of his illness and uses the device his father gave him to deduce that Spider-Man's blood could help save him. He asks Peter for help finding him, but Peter refuses, unsure of what effects the transfusion would have. Parker visits Harry again, this time as Spider-Man, but again refuses.
All right, how much?
How much what?
How much do you want?
I don't want your money.
Come on, everybody wants my money!
Afterward, Harry is framed by members of the Oscorp board for covering up the accident involving Max Dillon, now known as Electro. They removed from his position as CEOs, and Harry makes a deal with Electro to get him back into the Oscorp building. Once in, he goes to the enhanced Spider's DNA. Harry starts to heal, but afterward, he begins to die even quicker. He then desperately crawls on the floor towards the suit of armor which heals the body. He then gets other equipment made by his father and bioweapons found by Richard that they called symbiotes. Peter uses information left behind by his father to locate the video message Richard left. In it, Richard explains that he had to leave New York because he wasn't willing to go along with Norman Osborn's plans to use what they had created for biological weapons with his research. Peter then receives a voicemail message from Gwen, telling him that she was offered the job in England and was heading to the airport to fly there earlier than expected because of an earlier class. Peter manages to catch her and professes his love for her, and the two agree to go to England together. They are interrupted by a blackout caused by Electro. Peter takes Gwen down where the police are.
Sorry, I love you. Don't hate me.
Peter heads off to fight with Electro, having the upper hand. As Electro has Spider-Man in the air and is electrocuting him, Gwen comes in a police car and hits Electro. The two plan to defeat Electro by overloading his electricity supply. Working together, Gwen and Peter overload Electro's body, killing him. The Goblin arrives in his armor and with his weapons. Upon seeing Gwen, the Goblin concludes Spider-Man's secret identity. Still angry over the refusal for the blood transfusion, the Goblin kidnaps Gwen and takes her to the top of the clock tower. Spider-Man and the Goblin battle. Spider-Man stops the Goblin, but Gwen is not from the top of the tower. Spider-Man catches her with his web, but the resulting whiplash snaps Gwen's neck, killing her.
Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. No, please.
Peter is devastated over the loss of Gwen. He gives up being Spider-Man. 5 months pass and Spider-Man is nowhere to be seen in New York, as Peter spends every day at Gwen's grave. Meanwhile, Harry Osborn is visited by Gustav Fiers, who tells him that they have found a man suitable for operating a large suit of armor developed by Oscorp. The man is Alexei Sitsevich. He attacks the city streets in the suit, going by the name the Rhino. Peter is inspired by a recording of Gwen's graduation speech and makes his return as Spider-Man to fight Rhino. And this is the end. I hope you enjoy the recap. If you want more Spider-Man recaps, you'll find a playlist in the description box below. Make sure to watch them, and make sure to subscribe because a lot of fun is coming on the way. See you in another one.